Namaste, everybody. Well, this is take 2, and I'm wondering how many takes this is going to take before I can get this into an understandable format. I'm attempting something very difficult, which is describing the base 9 density system of consciousness and the base 12 system of the densities of consciousness. Now, you've probably heard the term density of consciousness. It is a density of consciousness is the vibratory frequency, the vibratory rate or speed of light, which vibrates within one entity. Okay, some people call it light quotient. Okay, now there's different ways of looking at this, and neither one are easy to describe. I'm going to give it my best shot in the very little time that we've got. This might have to be a couple of videos. I'll try and do the first video as the base 9 system. By the way, and there are other systems as well, like this. And just to explain, I've been shown very clearly that ultimately there is only one thing happening, and it's only humans in the 3rd density and the 4th density, the physical realm here, and the astral realm, which is only it's only a little bit away from us, the dream realm, the astral realm. That feels every bit as real as this, doesn't it? In fact, sometimes it feels a lot more real. And that's because in essence, it is. Yeah, and the astral, in many ways, is a lot more lucid than this can be, and can feel a lot more real. That's because you're getting closer, you're getting higher in density, higher in frequency. So the base 9 system would be what people like Matthias Di Stefano and many others will teach. Many channelers will also channel this. In many ways, I prefer the base 12 system, but let's explain this one first as best that I can. Okay, so the 9th density. By the way, to begin with, we're in the 3rd density right here, right now, just beginning to transition into the beginning sub-octave of the 4th density. Okay, and it's going to be quite a while before it goes all dream-like and you can start putting your hand through walls and stuff. That's not going to be just yet. Okay, this happens incrementally, but it all depends on how fast our consciousness evolves. Okay, so the base 9 system would be the 9th density would be the primary aspect of the source, the prime creator, the Godhead, the most unified aspect of the source before it is distorted. Okay, then the most unified aspect of the source distorts into light, white light, with free will. Okay, so the white light with free will then projects into the 7th density, where it projects out from the 8th. The 8th is like a prism. So the 8th density divides the white ray into the 7 rays: the red, the orange, the yellow, the green ray, the blue ray, the indigo ray, and the violet ray. Okay, so once you get your 7 rays, the 7th density would be unity. Unity with the source, unity in a social memory complex, and it would be the prime aspect of the soul once the soul had divided into the rays. Okay, so the green ray is unity. It's when there isn't much distortion at all with unity. Okay, there's just light and love and free will. Okay, so you could look at the 7th as also your master oversoul in the base 9 system. The 6th density would be the oversoul, or the higher self, some people call it. Okay, then that would be a group complex. And each time they divide down, by the way, a density, it divides out into 12 primary aspects. And then those 12 can divide into another 12, and so on and so forth. And this can happen many, many times, and does happen many, many times. Okay, so the fifth density would then be classed as some would say the crystalline grid. If we're talking about the Earth planet, we'll call it the crystalline grid, and the beings of the crystalline grid, the beings of fifth density. So the fifth density is blue ray. It's all about wisdom, balancing wisdom with love. For the positive polarity, for the negative polarity, fifth density, it's all about balancing self with self. That's it. It's just about self. It's about control, power, control over others for benefit of self, using wisdom to control others for benefit of self. Okay, that's basically it for the negative polarity. Don't forget, this is a dualistic realm. This universe is dualistic. It's a polarized universe. Two poles, like a magnet. Okay, positive and negative, like a battery. And this is how this whole system works. Fourth density would be the astral. And there is the upper astral, there's the middle astral, and there's the lower astral. But then there is an infinite number of divisions in between, and each density has an infinite number of divisions. Or you could look at it as there are no divisions. You see, it's only human beings that need to have some kind of a way of dividing this up, slicing this up. Higher density beings just see this for what it truly is. Just different frequencies, different rates of vibration of the same one happening. There's just one thing happening, but there's an almost infinite number of vibrational differences. Okay? Third density is where we're at now. This is late third density. Making the choice. It's all about making the choice. Second density is all about movement and growth. Second density is, of course, orange ray. Third density is yellow ray. That's where we're at now. The end of third density, yellow ray. Making the choice. Second density, orange ray, is very primal. It's all about growth, movement, and the beginning of communication with other entities. So plants, animals, but it even goes down to the sub-octaves of, it's all frequency. So it goes, every octave has sub-octaves, just like a musical scale, It's the same thing. The same thing as a musical scale. This works harmonics. This works like sound. So you could look at it as the 7 primary densities. You could look at it as the 7 notes on a musical scale. Okay, just taking out the black notes. If you add the black notes in, then you've got the 9, or the 8, but then the 9th would be, of course, the Godhead, or whatever you want to call it, the most unified, undistorted aspect of the source. The first density, the red ray, is that of the elements. It's the elemental kingdom. So it's the fire, water, earth, air, and some people class it ether, but primarily on earth, if you're only speaking about the earth and not the ether surrounding the earth, some people would argue everything is made within the ether. That is indeed true. Everything is set within the ether. See, science took the ether out of the equation, but when science puts the ether back into the equation, they'll call it something else. That's when they're going to work a lot more out, a lot more solutions to problems. But they'll call it something else, no doubt. So the first density is primarily the 4 elements on Earth. So, and that's all about beingness, just being, movement, albeit slow. If you're a rock, but rocks still move, of course. Water moves, and then when water and fire collide, you get land formation. When volcanic lava and water collide, that's what creates the land masses, the continents, and it can join continents together, and then continental drift can separate continents. So that's pretty much the base 9 system. So 9 would be the primary aspect of the source, or the most unified, the most undistorted, and the most pure aspect of the source before it starts distorting itself. The first distortion is light. So source is love, okay, pure love. The first distortion is light. Then it's free will. Okay, so the 9th density shines as light into the 8th. First distortion is the 8th density light. Okay, then that white light is divided up by the free will of the 7th, and then it comes down 6th, 5th, 4th. I hope that makes sense, in about as much sense as you can do in 15 minutes. Don't know if there's anything I can really add to that. There is different ways of looking at this. Some, many will say, the 6th density is your higher self. Some call the 6th density the oversoul. There's different ways of looking at this. The 5th density is the crystalline light grid, and you are in a social memory complex, quite a large social memory complex, whether you're in the negative or the positive. Of course, you've got very different agendas as well, being in the positive or the negative. Positive is service to others and in service to unity, and the negative is service to self and service to self, and service to the negative polarity. Of course, we need both. Some people say we just need rid of the negative entirely. Then this universe just would not work. This universe wouldn't be here. It would just conglomerate back into the one most undistorted 9th density aspect of the source. So this creation, in order for this to work the way that it should, the way that it needs to, we need the negative polarity. You get rid of the negative polarity, this universe, as we know it, ceases to exist. So it's not about getting rid of the negative polarity, it's about just choosing your polarity and staying with it and doing the best that you possibly can to polarize more and more in the density, whichever density that you're in this incarnation. And also, people ask me, well, after this incarnation, is it sequential? Do I have a lifetime in this density, in the 3rd, and then transition to the 4th? And then does the next lifetime continue on in the 4th density? Well, that's usually what happens, but not always. Your soul will go into whichever dimension, whichever realm, and whichever planetary environment or galactic environment that best suits your soul growth. Usually that means sequentially, yes, but not always. There are exceptions to the rule. And just because you've been a woman in this lifetime or a man in this lifetime doesn't mean to say that you're going to be a male in the next lifetime. You also need to balance your masculine, your feminine, your divine masculine, and your divine feminine sides. So it's about polarity and balance. It's all about divine harmony and divine balance. Ultimately, this is how karma works. This is why karma works. It's all about divine balance. And polarizing more and more towards your chosen polarity is a theme. And balancing your divine masculine and your divine feminine, that might mean that, if you're a man in this life, you might have to come back as a female in the next life. Sometimes we tend to pick the same sex too many times. And then when we do incarnate back in the next sex, it can be tricky. So it's all about balance, finding your balance, finding the divine harmony. I hope I've done this some justice. I hope you can kind of understand this, because it's not easy. I'll try and explain the base 12 system. That's a bit more complicated, but it's my favourite one actually. It's very similar. It just subdivides things even more, and yeah, I can understand for some reason I can understand the base 12 density system slightly better. But yeah, we'll see in the next video. I'll maybe do that tomorrow night or something. Okay. I hope I haven't blown your brain too much with that one. But yeah, that's the best I can do. Okay, namaste.